Well, recently we've been told that it is World Malaria Day, and we have seen yesterday, yes, and a lot of people, actually it was on all the international media and even Nigeria generally, a lot of people have talked about malaria. And one of the special reports that the international media has carried was pointing to the fact that Nigeria especially could do a lot more to make sure that malaria is becoming something that is not a major killer of human beings in the country.
Especially since the mosquitoes are getting wise.
Yeah. They're coming up with immune system to all kind of drugs and all that.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Well, we'll get the experts to explain to us how this has come to be. What is it that we're doing to or what are we feeding our mosquitoes in Nigeria?
That they're becoming resistant to every drug that we know.
What is it we're feeding them? What's in our blood that makes it so, I don't know. Well, to have this conversation with us about the World Malaria Day, that some people have chosen the acronym WMD, we'll be having a chat this morning with Dr. Ernest Nwokolo, Director, Global Fund Malaria Project. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
And then the one that I should have started with, sitting just right beside me, Boladale Akin-Kolapo, who's the Deputy Director, Expanded Social Marketing Project in Nigeria. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Because I didn't start with you, I will start with you. So let me start with you. How do we celebrate World Malaria Day? We can't throw a party and say we're celebrating World Malaria Day. Are we celebrating or is this just marking? We're marking it, more like.
Yeah, we're commemorating World Malaria Day. Yes, malaria is indeed is a bit of a headache for everyone in Nigeria and all over the world.
It gives fever.
So commemorating it is actually creating awareness and also letting people know ways and means where we can actually prevent the spread of this very dreadful disease. In commemorating the World Malaria Day, we go on road shows, creating awareness. We give health talks, and one of it is what we're doing here right now, being live on TV, to tell Nigerians on how to go about preventing this deadly disease.
Well, it's interesting that I watched a program on a documentary, and it was mentioning the animals, in quotes, that are the greatest killers. And the tiny mosquito was the greatest killer on earth. It killed more than snakes, killed more than lions. The tiny mosquito is killing millions every year. So, Dr. Nwokolo, what is malaria exactly, and how many types of malaria are there?
Okay, malaria is something that has been with us for a long time, for centuries, and it's just a febrile illness, and it's caused by Plasmodium parasites. There are small germs that the female anopheline mosquitoes transmit. You know, they bite somebody who is sick and take in those germs inside. And those germs develop. They run a life cycle inside that mosquito. And when they are ready, the next meal, when they bite the next person, they transmit those parasites inside. And those parasites develop again. While they are developing in man, so you see they have two life cycles, in the mosquito and then in the man. And when they are developing in man, that's when the fevers, the paroxysms, and all those things that we see come out. And it's really a very strange thing. Mosquito itself is very weak. By the wave of a hand, you can kill it. Yet it devastates populations. And we are really having issues. And that's why the whole world is coming together to fight malaria. And it's something that we can do, but it takes a lot of willpower, not just from government, but from every one of us, because it has a lot of ways it develops in our society.
from what he has said, the mosquito is so feeble, and malaria has been with us forever. So how come in the 21st century, in 2014, we're still talking about how to prevent malaria? When I was growing up, we took our Sunday medicine. Our Daraprim was, it was a must at lunchtime on Sunday. So how come at this point in the life of the human being, he is still finding it difficult to overcome malaria caused by this little mosquito?
Yes, malaria, yes. The mosquitoes, yes, they are little. But then I think it brings us all back to the drawing board that probably we are still not doing enough. Yeah. We need much more commitment from the government. We need much more collaboration with the private sector. Malaria will not go away until we do the right things. And that's why we at the Society of Family Health, we have a lot of projects that is actually into malaria treatment and prevention. One of it is the ESPIN project, which I currently work on. And ESPIN is a 5-year USAID-funded project. It's a social marketing project. Social marketing in the sense that we're using commercial marketing techniques to influence behavior and for us to have a social good, for a greater social good. One of the components of the ESPIN project is the maternal and child health malaria prevention. We have in Nigeria, Nigeria is a very, very big country. And for us to reach, we need to create enough demand for the interventions that are there to prevent malaria. We use, one of the strategies we use under the ESPIN project is the use of IPC agents and CBD agents. For IPC, interpersonal communication agents, they go about, door to door, telling people about means of preventing malaria, how we can treat them. We also have a sales component under the ESPIN project whereby we go about selling ACTs. ACTs are anti-malarials. It's the correct treatment for malaria therapy. Also, one thing we should do, and it's more of behavioral change. We come on to a facility and say, oh, yes, I think I have malaria. How are we sure it's malaria? Because you have a headache does not make it malaria. Have you been tested to be sure it's malaria? And that's why we come up with the issue of resistance. You go to a pharmacy, probably a drugstore. You go in, turn up at the drugstore, tell them you have malaria. They give you a cocktail of medicine, you go your way. Yes, resistance will build. And that's why sometimes our medicines seems not to be working because we've already developed resistance to that. So making sure that we are tested before we are treated is one key thing that we should take on board as regards malaria prevention and treatment.
But the assumption most of the time by people is once you start feeling feverish, it's assumed it is malaria.
Yes.
Nowadays, even when people have bad dreams, they tell you
it's malaria. Yes.
That's a key issue now. It's one of the things that we are not doing right. Because right now, there is evidence to prove that malaria is coming down.
Yes.
Indeed, all over the world, there's a 40-something% reduction. And Africa has about 49% reduction. We've done a lot of researches.
What would you attribute that to?
Because of some of the things that we are doing, but what we are saying that we need to do more. For example, we provide treatments, effective treatments, artemisinin combination therapies. They are all over the whole place now, and there's a lot of subsidy from the Global Fund project, which is the side where we provide these drugs that are sold for 1,000, 1,005. They are supposed to be sold for 100, but oftentimes you see people selling up to 200, 250, which is not our target. We are still trying to push it down. Then we provide long-lasting insecticidal nets. You must have heard about the distribution, the campaign.
I haven't seen any of them.
You haven't seen any of them?
I only hear
you will very soon.
Where can one get one?
I can actually give you one, and you can get some of them from pharmacies. And there was a campaign that was done in Lagos State, and another replacement campaign.
How much do they sell them?
when we do campaigns, these nets are free. They are given to households.
Oh, okay.
They are given to households. But there's currently a distribution, community outreaches that Society for Family Health is doing in all the states, in pockets of communities where you get these nets at 100 naira. And they are there. Yes. The issue is that we are trying to make sure that people do not undercut or undermine the process.
Or buy and
taking
resell.
yes and going to resell. But these nets are given at 100 naira. And they are the same WHO pre-qualified and certified nets. Again, we are also giving out treatments to pregnant women. We usually give intermittent preventive treatment where we use sulfadoxine pyrimethamine to pregnant women. After 16 weeks, we give the first dose. After 4 weeks, after the first dose, we give the second dose. And now we even give a third dose. When you do that, the pregnant woman will go through pregnancy and come with a good outcome, which is a healthy baby. There are quite a lot of things. Environment, which I know a lot of people also want to find out from us why we are putting people in nets, and then we are not talking about environment. We are talking about environment because if you control your environment, you will reduce the breeding of the mosquito. Mosquito flies up to 5 kilometers.
Really?
Yes,
5 kilometers?
Yes,
Wow.
5 kilometers. So that's why it needs a hard effort, a community effort. Because if you are doing very well, your neighbor will be breeding mosquito for you. If, like, for example,
So it can leave from Isheri to Ikeja.
Yes.
And
And
cause
come back.
malaria there.
And cause malaria.
Yes, in actual fact, some of them enter into planes, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you must have seen them in
Yes, in
Aircraft.
aircraft,
and,
yes.
and they go from Abuja
They
to
travel.
Lagos
Yeah.
Yes.
and do something bad and come back.